Hi guys, it's Kelly and I'm back with another video for Marker Pop. Today we're going to be using some W+9 products, the set Sweets and Treats, Party Animal, and then Unforgettable. It's got a lot of adorable little critters in here, and we are just going to be using the elephant for today. So I have some cardstock and I had pre-cut all of my masks. I'm using some Memento Tuxedo Black ink to stamp out a little scene here. I was just using that elephant as a placeholder because when you're doing masking, whatever you want to be in the front, you have to stamp first. So sometimes hats and things like that can be a little tricky because you have to stamp them before you have anything to attach them to. So I stamped my hat and then my elephant. I wanted him to be holding this balloon. The balloon is from the Party Animal set and it's just super oversized. And it's the same thing with the cupcake that I stamp later. The cupcake is almost the same size as the elephant. So it was kind of meant to just be a little grandiose and like the party is so big kind of thing. So I'm going to be stamping the large balloon. And I did, you saw me extend that line a little bit so the balloon would be a little bit higher up. I didn't want it sitting directly on top of his head. And after I stamp everything, I am masking it just as I go so I don't miss anything. And in that Sweets and Treats set, there are some cupcakes that are already built, but then you also have the option to build your own, and that's kind of what I opted to do here. I just really liked the way that icing looked. So I'm going to have to stamp my cherry first since it's going to be the topmost layer. And I cut this tiny little mask out because I wanted to do distress ink in the background. So you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Even if it's little teeny tiny finicky pieces. So after I did the cherry, then I'm going to do the icing because that would be the next layer. And then last will be the cupcake. So I actually made this card. This is my third attempt. I'm not kidding. The first time I did it, the colors were just too dark. My masking was not clean. And so because I used darker colors in the background and the masking didn't stay clean, I had to use darker colors to color my images. And it looked like that poor elephant was just like stuck in a dark cave. It was so bad. So I opted to go for some brighter colors here, and thankfully my mask stayed down. So everything was clean. I didn't have to compensate for it. This is Picked Raspberry, and I'm just kind of starting from the bottom left-hand corner. I wanted it to be a really bright, fun card, because even though it looks like a birthday card, I'm actually sending it to a girlfriend of mine for her retirement. I am a terrible friend. She has been retired for several weeks now, and I have not sent her anything. Sorry, Barb. So I will be getting this to her in the mail. Hopefully tomorrow. But anyway, so then we're moving on to the carved pumpkin, which was a new color for 2015. I love it. It's just a beautiful bright orange. And I always, when I do my distress ink, I tend to go out a little farther than I need to. So it looks like there's a huge swatch of orange there, but I'm actually going to go over a little bit with this fossilized amber, and then I'm going to go back over it again with the pink, so the orange won't be as large as it looks right now. I wanted the ink blending to kind of fade off, so I'm being kind of careful as to where I put down that yellow. Sometimes I'm starting actually on the mask for the balloon, just so it wouldn't be so dark on the edges. And then, like I said, I'll go back over each one. So from the yellow, I'll go back to the orange. And then the pink just looked too light. So I'm going to go back in, actually pick up more ink and go back in to blend that out. With distress inks, whatever the last color you use, whatever the color is on top, that's going to be the most prominent one. So here's the background, and I wanted it to be shimmery. So I'm using some W+9 shimmer spray. I'm not working on watercolor paper, so I am spraying from very high up and just doing a very light misting and then blotting it off. You want to make sure that your paper is dry before you pull off those masks, because if they're still damp, you can rip them, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to pull off those masks. Everything is clean and white. I always love this part. It's my favorite part. It's just, it looks like unicorn magic. It's wonderful. I love it. And then from here, I'm going to start Copic coloring my images. So this one's going to be, the elephant obviously is going to be gray. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. I mean, it's card making. You can make your elephants whatever color you want to. But I'm going to make him gray. And when I was doing this, I was thinking about the light coming from like the right-hand side, maybe upper right-hand side. So I was just kind of making it up as I went along. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want it to be as dark as my first attempt. So I was trying to keep those C3, C5 kind of in check here. So my elephant would be a little lighter. And I'm just using the tip of my marker, light pressure, flicking motions to get my shading. In some areas, like with this darker C5, I'm not even doing the flicking. I'm just putting down little lines of color because I just need a very little bit. My intention was for him to be light gray. My intention was not for him to be dark gray or black. And because you can color an object white, light gray, dark gray, or black with all of the same markers, just depending upon how much you put down, something that you need to be kind of conscientious about. If you know that you're going for more pastels, make sure you're paying attention to exactly how much color you're putting down. So after I did the C3, I went back in with the C1 and just kind of blended it all out. And then it looked like I just didn't have enough dark. Like those little lines of dark were not enough. So I ended up going back in under his hat, the back of his ear, underneath his ear, his forward ear, and his mouth, and then the leg portion. I just added a little bit more dark because his face just looked too light. It looked like it should have more shading for the light that I guess the light source I had in mind. So once I had the elephant gray done, I wanted to add some pink to his ears. I just picked a RV11, and then I'm just going to light that, swipe that lightly from the top and blend that back out with the C1. And then I'm going to use the same 3 colors that I just used for the elephant on the wrapper for the cupcake. I was thinking, you know, like the aluminum silver ones that you can buy. That's basically what I was thinking of when I was doing this, because I use those a lot. It's one my local grocery store carries, and even though cupcakes are a lot of work, I totally enjoy making them. It's been a minute since I made them. I should probably do that. But anyway, so that's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of the aluminum or silver or whatever they're made of colored cupcake holders. So for the cake, I actually went with some kind of like some peach tones, like what a traditional, not like a stark white cake, but like more like a vanilla would look like. And I thought that would work well with the colors that I had in the background, and still give some contrast. I knew that I wanted to do the icing that bright pink because I also knew I wanted to do the balloon bright pink. And so my thought process there was the left-hand corner would be pink, the cupcake would be pink, the balloon would be pink, and it would create that visual triangle, pink, pink, pink. So that's where, I mean, I was headed with that. And I didn't want to do the cupcake body of the cupcake in the same grays that I had used for the wrapper, and I thought worms would look weird, so that's how I ended up with those peachy tones. And I loved coloring this balloon. I will tell you, it was kind of a labor of love because it's such a large area, and I am just not very comfortable coloring Copics, coloring large areas with Copics, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. Coloring large areas with Copics. So when you're doing a round object, if you leave a highlight on the edges, it helps to make it appear more dimensional. So on the right hand side where the light would be, I'm only just drawing a little line of dark I'm leaving that highlight, and on the left hand side I'm doing the same thing. You see I'm leaving that little like lip and shading into the balloon. Now I used RV00, RV02, RV55, and RV09. I would have loved to have used RV04 because I think it's such a beautiful bright pink color. But there's something that happens when you go over RV04 with RV02, and it's like it disappears. So that's why I opted for the RV55. I just thought that it would be better. So as I'm adding colors, I am filling in that highlighted lip as I go out. It's still going to be lighter, but it's going to blend better. And then last, I will go over the whole thing with the RV00. And I noticed it really took back that RV02. So the shaded area was kind of just like sticking out a lot. So I went back in and added even more shading. With Copics, if you don't like the blend that you're getting, then add more color. Like, I'm serious. There's a way to make it work. So after the balloon was done and I was happy with that, I wanted to go in and color the cherry. Obviously, I knew that was going to be red. And normally I try not to use so many colors in a card. I feel like sometimes it can get kind of confusing, but I had to color that cherry red. So I added just a little bit of red there and then in the elephant's hat. So I figured it was, I could get away with it. And then, yeah, these don't need very much shading just because it's such a tiny area. You want to be careful that it's not going to cause any bleeding. So just make sure you're in smaller areas you're using a super light hand, and then just barely using the tip of your marker. That's how to keep it nice and everything in the lines. And then instead of leaving it stark white, I went in with the same peach colors that I used for the cupcake and just did a little bit of shading with those as well. You might notice that my card panel is a different size, and this is because I am using Nina Solar White cardstock, and I had gotten this from a friend, and they were pre-cut. So since I had wanted to experiment with the Nina, I have been using them and just kind of making my card design fit that. So if you're wondering why not a full card, that's why. Here I'm trying to draw in some shadows, and straight up, guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. You'll see me like holding my pen. I'm trying to look to see how I think it will go. And I'm using my lightest C markers to kind of draw them in. I messed around with this for quite a while. I'm still not sure it's right, but it's okay enough that I'm good with it. So practice makes perfect. I know that, you know, when you're doing shadows, it's going to be darker closer to the object and lighter as it moves out. So that's what I did. And I'm just using those same C markers. And it's so funny how they look over Distress ink. Like, they automatically pick up that tone, and you can't even tell that it's the same thing that's on the elephant and on the cupcake wrapper. Like, they just look different because they take on the hues that are below them. So once I got those down where I thought they should be, I added the darker shading and then blended everything back out with the C1. So yeah, like I said, I was thinking about it coming from like the right-ish, top right-ish, more right. Anyway, so then I'm going to use a journaling pen, Copic multi-liner, or whatever you have that is Copic friendly and is a good black line. You can use that to outline your images. I always do, and I went ahead and outlined everything. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment. This is from the Party Animal set, and you're not going to be surprised once I stamp it and you can read it. It says, "Party like an animal." And this, like I said, she's retiring after working, and who doesn't want to throw a party after they retire? I'm a far cry from retirement, and I'm ready to party about it. So this is just some pink craft foam that I'm going to pop the panel up with. And I'm just holding it in place, trying to, you know, eyeball where it's going to go. I'm only popping up the portion that is stamped. I'm leaving the rest of it flat. So I have a white card base that's already prepared. It's a traditional A2 size card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to adhere some coal mine cardstock from W+9 onto my base. And then I have just a little strip of black glitter paper from Die Cuts with a View that I'm going to add on there. When I put this down, I kind of, like, I held my panel there for placement, but then I kind of snugged it in so it would be a little underneath it. And it's because I knew that it was going to be popped up, and I didn't want any of that plain gray cardstock to show through on the right hand side. So then I'm going to use my adhesive, making sure I really get the corners, since I'm using liquid adhesive, to adhere the craft foam. And then I'm going to do the same thing, making sure I get the corners to go ahead and adhere that to my card base. So it'll be just a little popped up and, more interesting. And that is the card for today. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you on the next one. Bye.